You see how you work. Okay. Well, it's 4 o'clock, so. No, I hear you.
Forgot I had those in my pocket. Well, they were in my pocket because the nephews, my sister-in-law's boys helped us pack the little baggies for Halloween. And the 3 of us were fighting over the airheads and have wearing this jacket, shoving them in there. Trying to fight. Those are the 3 I was able to.
I can't eat these. They're too sweet.
They're not sour. They're very sweet. Like that. This one matches my soda, so I'll take it.
Are we ready? Let's get moving here, huh? We'll call it to order at 4 o'clock. Welcome comments. We all know each other. 407. Yeah, we all know each other. You guys, you had one meeting with us, right? Yeah.
You have. Kind of frame our conversation. I know that there's a new annexation request. And to me, that makes the work that we're doing not theoretical, but real. And it should bring some of the urgency to the conversation.
Yeah. No,
Thank you, EJ. I was actually going to share that with you because that makes it very critical, but also I feel like you don't want to rush this. The annexation process has just begun. It was an applicant. They gave us information last night.
Yeah,
And so, it's very critical. And now we've got to go back, I think, and do a closer look at where we want these boundaries done.
well, that's why we're here.
Yeah.
That's
But,
so let's get this going then.
okay, that's my feedback.
That's why we're here. Okay, city staff report, do you have something, Don, or?
No, nothing new, especially for the council, because the staff report we presented September 20th. And from the staff report, we agreed that we would send letters to all property owners. And so the letter is also part of the packet. The council's already seen it. And the letters went, looking at this purple map, these are properties adjacent to our city limits. And we also sent it to those properties within the 2016 Dale plan. These properties were in these properties were. So went to everything within this blue line, including the nine.
Blue and the purple.
Yes, the blue line and the purple. We sent about 80 letters.
Outside the line or both?
Yes. And from and the list is here, which you want to double check.
Well, I saw that.
And then we numbered the parcel.
Uh-huh.
So you can compare them to the
Right.
map. And direction I got was yeah, send an invitation instead of just a note and say we're having a public meeting. So that was the point of the letter. So Scott and I worked on it and we rewrote it from the city council package a little bit. And I'll say we tried to make it more open and inviting. And it was effective to a limited extent. I met with 3 property owners total in the past 2-3 weeks. And one of them was one that I initiated, and that's the Nyland property. I met with Kathleen and her son Matthew.
Manning.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's right here. It'd be 54. Probably 42 and 41.
So I went out on a Friday and met with them and as you probably know, Kathleen's not feeling real well, but we did our best and it was clear. They want to continue to ranch that land, but they did want to be within the sphere of influence. And if we'll venture into rezoning when we talk about a sphere of influence, and if we do that, they want to be rezoned residential, so that way when they sell the property, then after you want to retire, whatever the case, they can give it residential value there. So that's what I took from the meeting with the man. And then I met with both Bill Morris and with Dale Koch. And Dale Koch is leasing property for purposes of growing in this general area. And he owns that property, a big parcel at the end of Mission Vineyard and Sentiment House Road. I believe Bill Morris is out here, or maybe up here. He's come to me more than once, because when the water district is trying to buy right of way for their pipe coming from West Hills, they want to go through Morris's property.
Oh,
But Joe's like a lot of our property owners. He's one of 5 family members. And so he and I have drafted letters and traded them back and forth. He's very, very nice and
Yeah, he's a
open-minded.
nice guy.
And he's been bringing information from our meetings back to his family. And I didn't get any feedback from him in time for this meeting, so. But that's, of all the properties, those are the 3 that I've heard from directly as a result of the letter. Now.
Real quick, you said that Coke is leasing these. He doesn't own this property.
He owns it. No, he owns it and he's not farming it.
Oh, he's leasing it out. Okay, okay.
So the letter went out in September. So they've had plenty of time to, or most everybody has had plenty of time to contact you.
Yeah.
And out of, how many letters did you send out?
About 80.
And you had 3 property owners call you.
Great.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we know they got them.
And
How do we know? And do we know we
I
got
was
'em?
just gonna ask you, Scott, if you heard from any of your people. And I haven't heard from any of my people. Well, the people that complained to me about, what was happening, they felt that, they needed to have had more notice. Their comments were, no, they weren't. But, I did let them know that there was a letter going out and that's it. And this was way back when we decided that we were going to do that. So. I had been contacted by some people that. No. Community members that lived within the city limits that had heard of what we were doing through the charrettes that were going on and felt that we needed to go back to basics. We didn't need to be, doing the, all their concerns and so that was it. And I didn't hear from anybody.
Okay, and we didn't publish this meeting. These generally haven't been published or the ad hoc committees or not necessarily public. But just the same, at least we'll have a recording we can share with others what we talked about. That's the good news. We've talked to over the past 3-4 months. I'll just say we've talked to property owners, and I'll use Luis Valdez as an example in this map. Property 19 is good, and he also wanted his second part of it. So that's his access onto property 19. So he wanted his parcel. So we have maps with feedback like that. And I think one of them was a map that tried to do 2 things. It tried to identify the best potential parcels to include in the sphere of influence. And then it had a second tier. I don't know if you recall, a 2-tier map. And the point of the second tier was to identify parcels for preservation, cultural, ag, viewshed, different forms of preservation. And bring that up because I think we come back to a very fundamental question about should my property be in the sphere of influence or not? And PJ, early in the process, Dan DeVries was at the table, and he was quite insistent that the urban growth boundary and sphere of influence be the same as the city's incorporated boundaries. And if we made it larger, it would invite development of those parcels. And I've been doing some research, and Brian's been helping me with some issues because the role of the county and the role of LAFCO is critical. When we talk about growth, when we talk about green belts and preservation, because these properties are now in the unincorporated area. And I went back to my fundamentals. Okay, I grew up in Thousand Oaks, and I worked my first job out of Cal State Northridge in Moore Park. And Moore Park incorporated in 1983 by 80 votes, and it incorporated because it was growing too fast. 2 freeways, 23 came from 101, 118 came from 405. They both ended in Moore Park. So it was like planting a tree on a septic tank. The Fillmore Freeway doesn't make it to Fillmore. It stops in Moore Park. And so I bring that up because what they've done a beautiful job of in Ventura County is provided laws and ordinances and policies that are shared by Thousand Oaks, Simi Valley, and Moore Park that prohibits the cities from growing together.
Right.
And I had some examples, but they have something called the Green Belt Agreement that is approved by all these agencies. And it indicates in one case, 1,200 acres of land between Thousand Oaks incorporated boundary and Moore Park's incorporated boundary as don't build there. And it's works.
So if I can take what you're saying, in my understanding, if we had our city limits and had some urban growth boundaries selected from there, right? And then between the city and those lines, and then the sphere of influence line. I think what we were all after originally, what we all agreed on is, hey, we're trying to do this green belt thing. trying to
Exactly.
Right.
Protect around the city. And if we're looking at them from that perspective, and with that understanding, we can use these tools that way. I think that's what drove the four of us to a lot of agreement.
Exactly. And that,
Because if you don't have an active county that's stepping up to the plate and helping you preserve these open spaces, then maybe you want a larger sphere of influence, so at least the city can control what happens in those boundaries.
mhm,
And so we've been going back and forth, at least in my brain, I've personally been going back and forth, the old Shakespeare, to be or not to be in the sphere of influence. And I think in Ventura's case, and when I looked at Cal, Lasco, Ventura County pops up as the first example. So they're Sonoma County is another good example of where
Right.
they're controlling sprawl and so agree with Dan if the county has a handle on things. And went to find the LAFCO handbook for San Benito County, and it doesn't exist. The Ventura County LAFCO handbook has a chapter on sphere of influence, has a chapter on urban growth boundaries and all of these things. So I just printed copies for myself and had to share them with you. In Moore Park, the urban growth boundary, the sphere of influence is the same as the city limit, because the county has this green belt policy that So if we made them, I'm afraid that if we made, we're absent, so what we really need to do, I think, is talk to the county and get them more engaged.
yeah,
I think we need to understand, we need to get them on board, an MOU or something.
I agree with working with the county. The thing that makes me nervous is waiting to take action myself until the county decides what to do, with no guarantees on
Well,
them having what we believe is our best interest at heart.
right.
right. Well.
Yeah, but
Well,
Right, right.
and I think that all of us have had that in our minds when we got started. That's what's been in our minds. We don't want to have the county come and do what they want. And like they've done in Hollister. I mean, I keep referring to Hollister, but what I would like to do is I would like to do whatever we need to do to move forward, to talk to the county. Now, the county, who is involved? Is it the supervisors? Who is it that we would be?
Well, whatever result you come up with, you want the supervisor to support it, and I think Colin would support it. Because he's been critical
Right,
of,
yeah.
of our maps. So that's okay, Colin. But your resource management agency would work with you. Ariel Goodspeed is doing an open space conservation plan. And she's really an effective planner over there.
she said that's like 2 years out.
I know. That's to EJ's point. Yeah, to EJ's point. Yeah.
So
2 years out, finishing her plan.
Yeah.
And who knows if she'll even continue
exactly, we
funding or
don't,
even finish it.
Well, they've had a lot of turnover at County RMA.
yeah.
Yeah.
So what do we do?
Well. Right, Bill stepped down. But what the way I found these Greenbelt agreements was through the Ventura County LAFCO website. because it's a policy of theirs to enforce these agreements. So could we enter into greenbelt agreements with the and the county that they-
Sure, but even if we want to go and get into a greenbelt agreement with them, I think it's in the city's best interest to have already mapped out where we want that, right?
Uh-huh,
Like,
uh-huh.
Yeah,
Well, at least our sphere of influence that isn't too dramatic that we have to, because we have to provide services. If we get too far out, and this map is not, this isn't the correct sphere of influence.
No, that's the, yeah,
Sphere
that's
of
the
influence is being, this is not. our
Right,
sphere of influence.
and Bill's
No, it's
slides.
larger.
And-
but that's larger.
This is what it looked like.
No, the sphere of influence that we have right now, is right,
Yeah,
this
it's
is
a
a
big rectangle.
big giant.
Yeah.
rectangle. That's, well, that was the goal, and that's what we agreed,
That's
and,
what we,
but in, so, all this is. I think should, I don't even know what's on, well, it's on the map, it just.
It's the 2016 general plan.
Yeah, but it's not the sphere of influence, so, and we're looking, I'm looking at what we drew, and I'm looking at this, and there's things that were pulled in, and things are excluded, so I don't know where some of the stuff came from, but, I get, so, good news, this is protected. So we won't see development there for our lifetime. That's the.
that's the Manning. Or the Island Ranch, yeah.
I think the land trust is one of our best friends.
This is
Oh,
owned by
yeah.
the land trust.
Right.
So this is. No, they don't own it,
Actually,
they sold it to land trust, yeah,
What was that?
Emily Menzel is the.
well, she's part of the land trust, but yeah, this is no longer owned by the Nyland family, it's owned by the land trust, so we're good there. That's 650 acres of not going to be.
Yeah.
So I don't, and I know this was the sphere of influence that was never registered with Labco, so. And that's why, and we talked about that, and that's why we were all in agreement, we pulled that out. So it's not even in there, so we don't have to worry about that.
Right, and that's why because we knew then
Mhm.
that we weren't gonna have to worry about it.
One and the same.
Yeah, we did.
I'm sure she brought it up. For Newman. We are obligated, right?
But if you bring it in, I mean, now.
Yeah. Yeah, well, how this was passed is beyond me. How the heck? I mean, this is almost to the San Benito River. And how were we supposed to do? I don't,
Well,
I would love to
we-
find out who
we need
passed
to,
that.
we need to just,
That's just, we need to
We
go past it, but,
yeah, let's concentrate on
few things.
what we want.
That's where it's on.
The Labco. That's real. That's our
That's
sphere of
right,
influence.
it's from Lapco. That's one of those slides.
That's what
Well,
we're
that's
doing
why
now.
that's
Yeah.
what we're doing
No, we can't make that go away.
to it. But
That's a scary.
So my concern about waiting, well, we were originally told we didn't, and then this came up. Fortunately, Don and Brian found this. They found it a while back ago.
no, Don found it.
Or Don-
Yeah, Dan
Yeah.
pointed it out.
Okay,
Part of our-
But,
we were told originally.
okay, well, let's go on.
So I'm
Let's just-
concerned about waiting to. There's gonna be a lot of turnover in the county this year. And I'm just worried about waiting too long for them, and. No offense, but the three of us have been here our whole lives and we've seen what San Benito County does to our little town, so. Yeah.
That's why you're here.
It's not like, it's not like they've always had our back, so, We talked about,
Want to wait, go to the middle of the plan.
well, that's the
Yeah.
thing, yeah.
That's what I'd like to do is I'd like to come up with a plan and go to them.
Yeah. We'll have a whole new lab board too.
Yeah.
Well, it's a little more extensive than that, and I provided some slides.
I saw that.
Yeah. But we'll still have we'll still be a learning curve.
That was in our packet.
I don't get packets
just-
delivered.
No,
I don't get packets.
No, I printed it down.
Packets delivered. Oh, yeah.
yeah, I did. Yeah, mine were awful. But anyway, let's just,
So this is what we talked about, right? So this is what we talked about as far as circling the wagons
right,
into here. And the reason I asked for Dawn to inform these folks out here because you know, I'm just going to use this for an example. The farmer that owns, this got scribbled out, so Mary, that was yours. And
I know that was me. Or I had wanted to
I
go
went out
this
to
way.
here. But like if.
And then I
if a
missed
farmer
this one
owned
up too.
all three of these properties, kind of similar to what the Mannings have up here, and they wanted to come in. You know, if they say, hey, we want to come in, and like, okay, well, let's entertain that, but if somebody that we pulled in, let's say, I'm just using this for example, number 10 here. If they didn't want to come in, then who am I to, who are any of us to drag them into it? It's their own property and they don't want to come in. I'm just using it for an example.
Yeah.
I'm just using number 10 for example.
Yeah.
There's a cement factory.
Right.
That flat line.
But that's why I asked for the letter, because if there was somebody that did not want to be in the tour infant,
Mhm.
they own that property outright, and regardless if they owned it 10 years or 40 years, it's like, would
And they
any of
don't
us,
wanna be a
would any
part
of
of
us
it.
want somebody telling us we're gonna
No.
drag your piece of property into our town and
The letter actually did something good in my mind, because when we were at the charrette. The Manning's son,
Right, that's it.
Matthew had said, I don't want to be in anything, but
Right.
apparently. In conversation, him and his mom get the letter. Now it's a different story.
Yeah,
And now,
it
now
is.
you get the letter, they've had time to think about that. And like you said, give the answer. Now the answer is different. Like give us something else.
well, that way people didn't feel like they're blindsided too.
So what do we do if, for instance, 10 decides that, you know, the lines are right here, we draw it here.
They become an island.
And then, so we allow them to be,
I mean, it's terrible to deal with like that way.
but I mean, is that all right for us to
Well,
do something like that?
There are some standards that some LAFCOs follow. I couldn't find it in writing for our LAFCO, which was banned so bright. That the islands are to be avoided. You want contiguous.
I
lines.
see,
You
okay.
want to use geographic boundaries, creeks, rivers, highways as.
Proper.
So that if somebody is within the line, they're stuck, they're there.
But so, and then you come back to this part of our world where law enforcement and fire protection are the same here as they are over here.
Right,
So there's no confusion with that, unless the city of San Juan Bautista some days, starts their own fire department. But a lot of that stuff, boundary drops. There is no confusion to that anymore. San Diego County is probably the worst example of islands. There are islands all over San
Oh,
Diego
yeah.
County, like right in the middle of Hollister.
yeah.
Yeah, El Toro, half of its county and half of its city.
Bonnie view.
Bonnie
That's
View,
horrible. You can
Yeah.
tell the
It's like-
roads changed.
Yeah.
Vets Park is in the county.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
It's in the county.
In the county. Yeah.
Yeah,
No, but I once, so Hollister went, it's like somebody blew on it like an ink blot one day and it just
And it just-
exploded.
Well, they had that moratorium.
When we were kids, it was tiny. So,
yeah.
Moratorium was lifted, yeah.
So, okay, so now,
but we didn't get anybody say, hey, we don't want to be in.
exactly. So let's just,
Yeah, we do.
so,
Sixty days isn't a lot. I mean, people have lives and also that's 60 days to make a hard decision about your land. So do we do another reach out and do we have a deadline by the end of the
I don't
year?
think so. This is the second reach out that we've done, isn't it?
Well, one thing that occurred to me, if we can find agreement on what we'd like to see in a route. then we send them a letter and we put it in their face and we say, we recommend that your property be inside the sphere of influence. And then they have an action that they can.
Do we have to say, we recommend, we have decided that this is what we're gonna do? Like it or not?
They should be council that have the authority. to
I have a
decide.
committee recommendation. This is a recommendation.
Exactly.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't have it handy.
So we could, and then during that time, we could plan for our next action. We could bring something for the planning.
Then you
commission.
bring them in, it's, you kind of like you get their attention because you really want them to be aware and make a decision. You know,
That's true, but we can't be waiting for them forever, you
Yeah,
know?
it's 60 days, within 60 days, if I would have got that letter, I would have made a phone call or wrote an email saying. You're gonna have to-
Yeah, because Dawn,
Because it is, like you said, it is,
it's a huge
It's a big deal.
decision. Right.
and
it is.
they obviously thought about it, because the last time I talked to Kathleen. She was like, I don't want to have anything to do with this city.
Mhm.
What you gotta understand though, Kathleen's father's the man who Kathleen's father mentored as an engineer was Roger Grimsley.
Mm.
So she was like, at first she felt kind of smited that Grimsley got booted,
Mhm.
but then she started learning, he really didn't treat me so well. So I think they kind of, they backed off a little bit on that. So,
What
Well,
about people
anyway,
like
okay.
Valdez? He wants
to go
to
across.
do some parts of it.
yeah, so then he's gonna do well, it's not really a pocket, it's just
Is that too much real estate to add to the sphere of influence, all those parts?
this whole piece.
Yeah. None of them have come to us.
This is Stevens here, isn't it? I think they've got both sides of the hill.
Yeah,
They wanted to,
They've wanted for years.
and for a long time.
well, Stevens is actually.
He's up here,
Right there.
it was somewhere over there.
And then is there a new, that's, it's all one property. It's a- Did you know? Well, we don't have any.
So,
We need to reach out.
Yeah. we don't create one.
We believe about that.
Yeah. Manning's own. Pieces.
They sold them.
They did.
I looked on the list and,
They sold this, well, the Nyland used to own a big chunk of this and they sold it. And then they-
well, isn't yeah, isn't that what,
it's a.
The health fund?
community health fund.
yeah,
They want to be.
no, the orchard's
That's where
over.
the yoga folks are. There used to be a house right up there where Lonnie lives.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Then
I
they
have-
tore it down and it's like a historic residence, so.
I have a question. I want to keep going. I had wanted to include this for light industry commercial. How does everybody feel about that?
The plant area,
The cement plant area?
I was hoping if we were gonna do anything, we would stop along the old stage road. Yeah.
And so,
We already have, well, this is residential here,
right.
and we already have the fish plant here, right?
Mhm.
And then this is Dante's property all through here, and then the little labor camp.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this would be Dante's property.
So do we have any area within our city
We've got some here.
where we can designate as commercial or light industry that we could bring in?
Well, that's a good problem, that's a good question. Right
Because I
now,
think
this is
that-
ag.
Right.
This, I think all ag.
You had
I wish you had like a dry erase board with my biggest, I know the Davidson family owns this property and right now it's under lease for a long period of time.
Okay, yeah,
I think it's
and I know that,
For cattle. ranch.
right.
So.
But,
we'd
well,
rather
I'm
see
looking
cows there
at
than-
future, I'm thinking future,
Yeah,
not.
Grant puts his amphitheater there like he was going to do 20 years
I
ago.
know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, but what I'm asking is, do we want to designate an area where if we have commercial or light industry wanting to come into our city, do we want to designate an area for that? Or do we just,
It's a really good question, Mary, because we have an issue, that raised its head when, the midnight express came to the calendar. Because we had- we had the right to compliment.
Mhm.
This is enough. We need a edge. They have a proposal, one thing that.
That's a lot of water delivery to commercial buildings way out here.
I understand that.
I think, so.
What I'm looking after I'm dead. You know what I mean? I don't plan to die in
Well, we
20
have to-
years,
we
but
have to provide it.
I'm trying to think of ahead.
Is it a village?
I don't know if it's commercial, they're talking about, maybe we'll look at it.
Why is it when we're at the planning commission? I have it. I don't know, why, guys.
I can explain exactly why. This is a result of this is a result. I said, Dale and Joe, tell me what you want to do with your property. And Dale walked into City Hall yesterday about 1:30. And it's, well, he's on the property.
So this is a
Not concept,
plan.
a
It's a concept.
But my main point is that it's not industrial. This property is zoned industrial.
They have the right to blind side the.
That could be light industrial or commercial.
They could have had architect and. They have the right to blind side.
So this is.
Which is
Very lovely. I like it.
There you go. Okay.
which is great because we're already providing.
He's utilizing it with everything.
Yeah, because
right in-
I'm bad with maps.
Here's Mission Vineyard.
Okay,
Here's San Antonio.
and so where's his property? Where's his property?
This is doing this. This-
This is Mission Vineyard. And then where is his property? That piece right there.
Excluding about right here where Dante has property and like the Man Smith.
That's this open corner here.
Okay,
Oh, that's right, Man Smith. That's right. They're not in it.
so Don, did he happen to mention what his thought was process on this? Is this farm worker housing? What is it?
He came in after our meeting and dropped it off and I'm just, I think it's a concept.
He wants to be.
I mean, it is just a concept, but I think it's,
Okay, so that
But he wants his own change.
But
Again.
on the other side, like that house is on that's county, right?
Across from views this property.
City and then 2 lots down is county.
Just hand drawn. Oh, yeah.
it's hard to do stuff.
Which looks like somebody did this, and so somebody did a. Set of code.
So Mission Vineyard, I mean, someone Halls comes all the way down, right?
okay,
And so he is up in this area.
So
It's
he's
from the
right
thing.
Mhm.
Already done the full triangle here.
Yeah.
okay.
But like you said, this is already in the city. The problem is it's only.
No, zone industrial.
It's only-
Industrial. So that, because I was asking industrial and commercial.
This-
Do we have any areas up here that would fall into that?
That's all farmland.
I know, I wouldn't want.
Talk about residential.
Yeah.
It's all swampland right now.
I just was, I'm thinking
But it
a
was
city
always-
yard, small,
It was always thought on this side of town. This was always thought on this side of town, as if in light industrial was supposed to come in, or like commercial would be on the side.
Yeah.
I like it being over here because we're already running,
right?
we're supplying water and the upgrade is up, well, where's Copperleaf? I mean, heck, it's probably, they upgraded to probably about here.
Yeah. I think it's like this.
Yeah,
Oh, my gosh.
and then we have water all the way up and right to the base of the canyon too. Yeah, the way in the canyon too, we have a water line that goes up, and it was probably originally for the cement tank.
So, okay, so
Because there used to
Don,
be a well up there, number one,
Oh, well, really?
yeah.
so Dante's property is right around here. where the fish place is. Oh, okay. All
I
right,
might, I mean, right there, that's all open property. Right now, he's just got cars parked on.
I know.
Get in trouble with county for doing, I guess.
Okay,
So how do we get back to a point where we're looking at, how do we
Yeah.
protect and how do we green belt and
and do all that.
all that kind of stuff?
And I'm willing to forget, give up my idea here. So let's just,
That could be part of your green belt then, that could be.
okay,
I mean, it's the
Perfect.
hillside, a lot, most of it's.
good. Yeah, Yeah.
And develop, you know, what's in there. They
Oh,
have
I
that
know.
snip button buried.
I know.
And to your point, Scott, you made, I found your point in the middle of Ventura County's Raptor Guide about tier 3 wildfire. You don't want to be annexing in wildfire, you don't want to be annexing in floodplain, you don't want to be annexing in.
Right,
these
right.
secondary, It's called high fire severity.
Mm-mm.
People are out here because there are people in town that have lost their insurance because the
Yeah.
insurance maps are
I know.
very,
Mary,
very lost hers.
I know.
Insurance maps are so screwed up. So, yeah, that, and especially commercial, that I don't know if they would ever get insurance about that.
yeah. So, okay, so can we make a decision? Maybe. All 4 of us, 5 of us.
Four of it.
Decision, to try and solidify what we've got here to begin speaking with the county.
Borrow your pen.
Yes, yes.
That's our green.
You want to open or highlight or?
He's got that. He's got that. Yeah,
Well, my concern was
he's
that
doing
it
it wrong
was
because it's that kind of.
very on that industrial segment. I do agree with it. But then when we were talking about the fire and what's buried there, it didn't make sense. But what you just said, when you said about how do we protect it as our green belt
Mhm.
from the county not coming in and doing something? How do we make it our green belt?
Well, that's why we have to start talking with the county. We're gonna let them know that that's the green belt for us.
So we want to know.
It's a significant thing.
So can line of our SOI.
I don't know if green belts are really I mean, as far as, if you're in a subdivision, HOA subdivision, I've seen green belts.
No.
No.
As far as a,
Can I ask what, I'm just marking up based on, this is what I do. I'm taking in everything that all of you are saying, and I'm marking this up. And I see us with a lot of agreement around this side, and then I got confused.
well, this doesn't.
Yeah, I drew it in. I didn't forget to put my app.
Mhm.
Yeah. And so it keeps these cities.
So what I'm starting to understand is that by drawing the sphere of influence map, we can't do this.
We can. That's what we're trying to do is we need to do that.
Yeah.
That's, so we need.
Can you get copies of the same information that you got from Ventura, from Sonoma County and Napa County? Because I know they have the same ordinances,
No, Sonoma is really progressive.
My
right?
concern is that. Going,
If they don't do this.
yeah, and my concern with the governor's, you know, his heavy handedness that he dropped on all of us that we will be developing. I mean, how much green belt are we going to be able to get away with? And
Well, the governor,
Oh, the governor.
yeah, he's, but right, and it's over 5 years, and we have said that we're going to, we're gonna have affordable housing, senior housing, and, what was the other? What was it?
Why workforce housing?
It is so that we don't have to have that much growth. I forget now how many houses we're supposed to have within the next 5, or is it 8 years? It's 126 within the next 5 years. Mhm.
They're on the motion.
Where are they?
And that's why we originally.
That's
talked
why
about
we
that,
talked
because
about that.
We are sacrificial
E-
lamb.
Exactly. Dan was the one that told us that we should bring that in because it would be, no, I know,
Actually,
I didn't say that.
I was also supporting that because of the location and. That's what we all, well, most of us all did that, being in here.
I would only support it if we can enforce that it's medium to high density. Mostly affordable.
3-story.
Well, that's another thing we're talking, this is below grade. It's like below the freeway. So that's another reason we talk about it. It's like, even 2 stories, you will probably have a hard time seeing.
The other thing that's gonna happen with that is that the people at Rancho Vista are gonna be impacted with all the traffic. And we're gonna have, where's the road that goes out? Where's the road that goes all the way out?
Because the Larios Road that goes past the DFW would connect with Lavagna. So now there would be 2 exits. One through Lavagna and First Street and through Larios and Monterey Street.
Oh, wow.
That's the.
So then that's gonna be right by the VFW, the cemetery.
So on Larry Oak, that's with the house. There are 2 houses there, and then there's the creek.
Yeah,
And a bridge, and then private property.
You want me to grab the map and the application? And you want to take time to look at it?
yeah.
It's just because, I mean, that was the original group, even Luis.
Yeah,
Luis wanted to
He
go
went
out here.
clear
and
out
we
here.
said, let's- But it's funny is now, his blue line is
Is out
actually-
there.
I mean, that looks more accurate than what we started with.
Mhm.
So and we talked about it. We did talk about this piece down here.
And,
It's gonna be a heck of a lot of work. It's a swamp,
and I'm gonna say
but that's none of my
if
Bob Fuller.
Form application, but he also knows that we are meeting and we have not solidified and finalized the SOI, so he knows that a lot of this is gonna affect his. Yeah,
the other thing too is that, I have not been happy with the street improvements that the developers have done. It's always, for instance, the Rancho Vista and the eucalyptus trees were cut down. The sidewalk comes right to that trunk where the tree was, instead of getting rid of that trunk and finishing out
Well,
the sidewalk.
I mean, that's
Look, what I'm saying is,
slipped through the cracks, obviously.
what I'm saying is that we need to make sure that if these developers come and want to build, they need to do all the improvements of the streets and sidewalks and, yes. I'm
And the
tired
price
of
doing
them
business
not.
around here has gone up. They need to understand that.
I think Rancho Vista traded hands 3 times. Fuller was the one who implemented it, and he sold it, and I think it got sold again,
Oh, wow.
which is like
Okay.
common.
So here's Robert Union.
Yeah.
And some great for Mario.
Wow.
Preserve the hillside.
Right on the creek.
This is your higher density. Talking about.
That's it.
The orange? That's
not
all?
Single family.
Nope.
That's not enough.
Flip it.
Yeah.
Literally flip it.
This is why we have a housing shortage in California.
I
Flip
don't,
it.
I don't buy that since we lost a congressional seat, but.
Nope.
But for traffic impact. That shows you.
This is preserved. This is only on the hillside.
Yeah, because we have a
So right
hillside
now,
ordinance.
this is county right now. Can you show me?
This is all county.
All of it's county. Everything.
That's the Lavadino fence.
We can leave that.
So that's why we brought this in, because I mean, if you look, here's 156. This is all hillside. That one family owns property right here. It starts about, I guess about here.
Probably at that line.
But this is creek. I don't know how we're gonna run it. Well, that's not I'm not an engineer. That's not not my monkey, not my circus.
Does this mean that the
R3.
R3 will be just there or?
That's what, just that piece, that little sliver, not enough.
Well, will these homes have ADUs?
I don't know.
Well, I mean, this is
Yeah.
their idea. We
Yeah,
realize
this is their idea.
City council, the planning commissioner, us, you get to say what you need, just like he said, the price has gone up to do business in this town.
Mhm.
So how's the type of housing you want to see? We have this thing down on that. You think this is gonna suffice? No. Back in the same square.
Actually, it would. We're not,
I mean, it suffices in the area.
as far as R3 stuff, we're not.
By affordable.
Those 3 units that we put in it, or hopefully going in Casa Rosa, bought us a bunch of years for the median density or median income, right?
Oh, a few, yeah.
Yeah, it bought us a couple of years.
Yeah, well, it's three.
Yeah. So that helped us a little bit.
Be nice if that were done this year.
Yeah, I look at this, when I see this, I'm saying. The farmhouses have gotta stay. You do something with the barn. That R3 area gets way bigger.
Well, regardless of that,
Looks to me like a giant sound wall, like you put a three-story apartment building.
It's like, put the low income people by the two-lane.
but
boys.
that's not what we're doing right now. We're doing
Sorry.
our what we believe should be our. So now remember, true sphere of influence is
Giant. Rectangle.
tetrahedron now in this thing. Well, I mean, it's out there pretty significant.
So we use that to create our green belt.
It crosses a few parcels, but
Yeah, well, the thing is, we can follow property lines, creek lines, or any of that stuff. At least we're following. Natural lines and barriers and properties. But that's, I mean, that in a nutshell, that's pretty much excluding this. I mean, that's where we were. I mean, we took that out.
So does
I
that
was
mean we
out-
bring the city limit out here already?
I was out here. Into this.
No, that's what I'm asking is, if,
Yeah, I did that right here. I went out here. Behind the mission.
So is this?
This is mission over here. Mission vineyard. Everywhere was purple. It's county. This is all county. We're only, I mean, we used to be a mile square. Now we're like a mile and a quarter square, the ballpark. So, yeah, this is county, all the purple.
and to answer your question, and you can, definitely an example, but on this map here,
Mhm.
I you adjust my eyes. And I'm fully okay with it.
Say you want it to stay as ag,
It's already been done that.
so it's not gonna change then if it's.
Well, and also the San Juan Railroad.
Yeah.
Storage and stuff,
Part of
I'm
it.
super curious.
but that's all ag land.
But that block of ag farmland, if you know, which is vineyard, I look at it as a election, you go around and there's the city and then you make the turn, it's a little city and halfway on the road, it becomes county. And you go around the block where the gas is there, and you find it up the county side. But there's that nice green farmland in between. So I would like to see that. Be developed even maybe properly.
That's this right here.
No, she's talking about.
Right across from the property. Yeah, you know.
So my brain went to, but what and once in a while, something kind of separate my personal thoughts versus what people think or what people do with the city. In areas, first thing I'm thinking is in areas like this, if we're going to give it up, like, we don't just, I'm not looking at it as sacrificial. I look at it as beneficial and sacred. And like I said, the cost of doing business here has gone up. What do we get if we allow somebody to be within the city and build there? If we say no, what are the repercussions?
Right.
And what can we get everywhere else in the city for
And
allowing?
if you give it to you, then you have to meet us halfway. and
Well, not meet us halfway, meet us all the way.
The
We need a
city
lot of
just
stuff.
needs
Yeah.
there, out there.
But,
And-
but that's down the road. Right now, we're trying to,
I,
trying to get this nailed in and
Understood.
let's bring it back.
Yeah, so the only reason to me, I start thinking about those things is I start looking at what are the repercussions of no, right? Like, if we pull it in, if we're leave that all that out, are there repercussions? And understanding that. And so I don't mean to drag the conversation sideways, but I kind of need to understand that to have an opinion about.
So what you're wondering is if we don't include that.
Yeah, we draw the line
how
here.
we how we gonna see if it-
Does the county then say yes? Do we get sued? Like, all these are the kind of things I'm thinking about.
We say we want it, or we say we don't want it, but people that are out there, you know, so decide that they were putting in the city, that's what after that.
So in that
But
case,
not without our permission.
They need to connect to our sewer, they need to connect to our sewer and water. They need to
They
connect to our
haven't.
sewer and water.
That's not true.
And the absolute had to go through that when you think about it.
Yeah.
What did you just say, I'm sorry?
They have to go through our sewer and water, they need to
Yeah.
connect to our system, and if we say no, then.
They can't do it.
But doesn't WAFCO look at and say, they have the capability, because we have the capability with expansion. And they say, well, there's no reason not to allow the annexation, so they kind of push for that.
I don't think they would push it past the cities.
Not even in this county.
I
No.
think it's past the cities.
That'd be political suicide.
So
Because
could,
with MSR, the service report needs to be annexation. And if they're gonna develop it without services, then that's exactly that's what they're not supposed to be. They're not supposed to be commanding for.
Yeah.
so,
Can you
so
explain what
Dawn,
these are
and so
about?
I'm asking, I'm wondering, okay, we don't allow them to be there. And we don't want to, have them included. So then they decide that they want to develop. They come to us, we say no, of course. And then can they go to the county and,
If we do this, in sphere of influence, if we do this,
county has say.
they won't be in the sphere of influence.
I know, they won't. So will they go to the county to
Well,
get
they-
approval?
County wouldn't be us.
See,
The
so
county wouldn't even come to us and say, what do you think?
I
It's
know,
not our sphere.
I think we need to include it.
That's what I would believe.
You did, I thought you were saying not to include it.
That's the reason we pulled that
Okay.
in.
All right, so Okay, so now where are we going?
I have questions about these three properties because there are differences on the map. I'm just trying to resolve differences in opinion. Maps. I can read it for them. 25 and 43. Can we talk specifically about those? And that's one of the last,
Isn't this at the Tellers?
Vincent Agbalon.
that's 43. we're looking at.
No 43, okay.
I don't know, within the first time.
It's not the big fellas.
Is it, I see it right, the last name is Pura, Pura,
It's right
Oh,
next,
yeah.
that's right next to
He's a
Leo,
grower.
Leo's.
Pura,
Yeah, he's a grower. I've tried to help him before.
and it says Revocable Trust ETAL,
Yeah.
Prescott Road.
And then I know 25 and 8 were also quote unquote hot topics.
Yeah, the Manning's on that one too,
That's behind the school, right?
I think so. 0 San Juan Road, yep. Which other one?
43, 8, and 25 were the questions.
8 is Cortez
Yeah, behind the
and
school.
Sanchez Cortez.
When you talk to the Mannings, did they also, they have an opinion about 8 and 25?
Manning has 25. Okay.
That's the greenhouse of the school.
21, 22, 50.
That's definitely still
okay.
Manning. I met a woman who was renting from them.
Yeah, the house is originally from.
Yep.
James Breen owned it. It's actually a historic landmark, so that's why the 156 isn't running right through their front yard.
It's not on here.
So, and then this is their bull pasture.
Oh, okay.
the North Bull pasture, and it's basically
Yeah, we have 54.
swamp.
I can tell you what the swamps, I got pictures. My house used to be in that swamp.
Yeah.
And pipes underneath it.
I have plenty of pictures of your property, 8 feet of water.
People in boats.
No, the boats are out here. The boats are over here
I-
at Mission Farms. They were my boats.
Talk about when he was a kid. Where Franklin Street is in Washington, when they used to wade in there with boats in the wintertime.
Yeah.
Used to get so deep,
The ballpark in the swamp.
yeah.
So I'm not hearing a lot of objection to the blue line being as it is on this map,
No,
which would be,
right there.
Yeah, tuck that in. And that was.
and tuck
pink.
this
I
in.
think Jackie originally, that was pink. And then she originally took into 8. And then 25.
So we're good with the line over here.
So you want that in there, 43?
This is the same. This is the difference.
Not, yeah, that's what I'm not.
So you said no here. So your blue line is here. So what I'm asking is are we okay with it out here? Or do you want to keep it like that? Okay.
Most of us did right there.
Yeah.
This way. Cut that out.
And then put in the-
And then all this went this way and then the weeds went this way. and it turned
Yeah.
out- And we're like, you really want to go that far out? And all of a sudden, bam, now we're that far out.
Yeah.
Go past Amzar High, remember?
Yeah, and that's what this is, isn't it?
No.
Oh, it's not? Oh, okay.
That's to the
All right,
forward.
so we're all good with bringing this in.
Yeah.
Okay, not 43.
So now the only, yeah, so this
Okay,
this
Glenn.
new blue line that I drew here is now equivalent with this.
Okay. Do you want to use that?
Yeah, that was the original. I think Jackie wanted that originally and then I think you scribbled it out. I'm okay with that. If the Mannings want this piece in, this developing this is gonna be, I mean, it's got that, the adobe on it.
Mhm.
So, and all back here is all, this is a creek, Allen Creek runs right through here. Like that.
And it's schools right there,
School's right. What about 37 over here?
37.
Is that part of, this round?
I don't have
No,
it.
37, I think it's the.
It's in
that's
there.
the old Navigino property, isn't it?
They brought it in. We brought it in.
Did we talk about these already? This is the last difference.
I can't find.
Scott, you had an opinion about this blue line and then these properties behind it.
Yeah. that's
And now we're gonna say.
Something about Luis
We're gonna
Valdez
sit right
properties.
there.
And then if
And over.
Luis wanted this piece. Pinnacle right here.
So we're gonna include this little corner?
Where's
Where's
Luis?
Luis?
Luis, was it right here? Yeah.
Okay, so we include that.
Not a ring, like ring from Fort and some other-
So this is, to my understanding, as we're talking and negotiating, this is the line that we were agreeing on. the highlighted line.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Everybody-
Yes.
Yeah.
That's it. Thank you, EJ.
And, you know, it brings in some, we are bringing in some real estate. I mean, it's not like we're completely,
Yeah, pretty good compromise.
Yeah.
yeah, that's the good part. We can't put house on hill. We have an ordinance.
Well, I can remember when Lang Street
Oh, they've been
came, you know.
Prior.
across
Prior to.
Washington, the house is right there. I remember being a real estate, and everybody saying, you gotta be a goat to live up there. And it's like, they got houses out there and they sold them and people are living in them.
Oops.
Mhm. Yes. Mhm. Yes.
We're cutting out that back. So
Mhm.
Mhm. Well, it's outside of.
we gotta-
But we're not doing zoning. right now. Yeah. It's like
Well, you know, you're looking at. Renton, Fort,
Yeah.
so, grant like 5 acre. 5 or 12 acre ranch, yeah. Which for the longest time was the scourge of California, which it actually worked out. for us. This is.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
There's 4 houses. here. Well, we never talked to them. Those folks we never even talked to because it was farther out than we originally looked at. Yeah, I do too.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
currently excluded.
That was my concern out
When I'm
here.
asking questions, I'm just trying to drive conversation.
Yeah.
True.
Well, so, and somebody's gonna say, why did you include them, not us?
And if they come to us and if these people come to us and say, we want in, we'll say, okay, then we'll take out EJ's highlighter and.
Why don't we just include them?
Well, we haven't talked, these folks we haven't talked to.
I think the answer is because when I was asking, that's the Valdez property.
He asked to be.
And he asked to be, he asked.
I mean, not like we're putting a wall up.
But we never did send letters.
But we're not putting a wall there. He still has access there. It's just, we're not.
We bought both of these properties. Oh, he does. He does.
That's
He
how.
does. He owns that property right there. He owns this
I
property.
think his
So he-
desire, when I spoke with him,
He
was to
wants to
develop this
go.
corner. And so he wants city access to the property, not physical access. But to your point, how expensive is that access to us?
Oh, okay.
It's him.
I don't know him. I don't know the guy at all. So. But none of these people came to us.
About when we're making decisions, we look at the benefit, how it benefits the entire community. What comes in, what comes out, whether it's a personal benefit to them, which it seems to be not doing, because he's asking, but what do you get out of it?
Well, they
Well,
asked
they-
also. And we didn't have any problem over here.
But we're not supposed to be looking at this as to what we get out of it. We're trying to plan. Right, it's and so we are, that's what we're working on. We're getting our lines in line.
To Jackie's point, this doesn't protect us. This is a corner out here. Regardless of the fact that these are owned by the same person, this is part of a, us having a say and knowing what's going on over here. This isn't. And so I would agree, like, what are we getting out of this other than, being quote unquote nice to this property owner? And if the answer to, I don't think we have enough information, but if that answer is, hey, he's gonna develop out there, but like, if you're gonna develop, now to me, those questions start popping up. Okay, you wanna develop out there, what are we getting out of it? And what are you putting out there?
So wouldn't he have to apply?
Mhm.
And wouldn't we have to require that he improve the street, sidewalks, whatever he's.
Well, we'd have to annex it first. It's all in the county.
Yeah, even if it were in a sphere, you have to apply for annexation.
And I think at that time, the answer is, when you apply for annexation, that's when we start like asking questions about what do we get out of it?
But now that
I still agree
you
with
bring
putting it
that up, now that you bring that up, I'm thinking, maybe we should bring those people in.
My only concern about it going this far out is we need to run, I mean, that's. Pipeline's getting more and more expensive and we're gonna have to provide them a service all around here.
Yeah,
No, the developer will pay to be connected. They'll pay for that.
they'll have to pay,
Yeah,
right?
they'll pay for their own benefit. I'm worried about what are they gonna pay? What are they gonna do for that?
The road is a nice valley. I don't know. I'm not sure.
The thought that we would. This configuration for the school, and then we would. Negotiate with the county to, or do that beyond that.
Yeah, no, that's what I've been wanting.
Well, we're lucky here, we're right at the end of the trail. It's on the stage road, so that's.
Sorry. That's the mayor.
No, we're doing the sphere, we just want to get our sphere, yeah.
But knowing that is planned and that we want to take some action on that.
Yeah, and so Don's gonna be. Yeah. Don's going to be contacting the city of Sonoma, Napa, and get all of their ordinances. I think he has Ventura's, doesn't he?
And I guess the bottom line is it doesn't apply.
Okay.
We'll find out.
All right.
Did that by initiative.
Okay,
I have a couple of examples of development that we're done to establish clean up.
And it'd be a countywide. Would have to be.
it's a little late for. Officer.
Well, the serve influence will be an amendment to the general plan.
Yeah.
Right. I think the green belt is better left in the unincorporated area, because it doesn't need services. That's kind of the point. Exactly, yeah, that's what I was showing you in Midway County.
Yeah, and water is an issue on this side of it.
Mhm.
On water. All this San Juan Creek drain and the fault. Get water over here, with that big giant shelf.
So now where do we go from here?
This is our recommendation now. The
Okay,
question is we talked about, my understanding is that we've been talking about an urban growth boundary line as another line, or do we count that as like zones within this area?
So, I do have some language that I've been down. What I've found, what we found in our research is in a situation where the county is in charge and in control, then the urban growth boundary line, if it exists at all, would do the same as the sphere of influence. But if you're concerned that the county doesn't have control over what's happening out there, then you make.
My concern is that the county's interests aren't aligned with us.
Right, and so
And so,
you create an urban growth boundary line that's actually.
yeah, we talked
larger
about
than the
a lot of intentions, right, about opinions between property owners, ourselves, other people in the city about what should be happening in all these extra properties. How do we communicate that intent in some sort of intelligible way? Instead of just saying, now we've got a line, and then somebody from the county or somebody from the developer comes in and starts having an eye toward where we all say, no way.
And an urban growth boundary could simply include the. And then be contiguous. It could identify certain properties, but then be contiguous around the rest of it.
In my mind, we identify not a line, but an urban growth. Urban growth, you call them areas of interest, and you list properties there, right? Like where you believe that could be. You have a list of properties that are included in this urban growth.
What would be-
Zones as opposed to like drawing or a new line, but urban growth in parcel X, parcel Y, parcel Z.
If you do something like that, then wouldn't you have to do a whole new. Before the whole sequel issues. They have to do a lot of that stuff for the sphere of influence.
Right.
So now if we do. Or urban growth outside of the sphere of influence, we're gonna have to do a whole separate set of those.
You're gonna take them together, right?
Well, it depends, you know, the urban limit lines and. County lines.
One blow.
So that I think, I don't know if that.
Okay.
So, yeah, they got all the cities.
So this is not-
Their own lines and.
Oh, okay.
Right, and that's more controlling, so, so the Loazas annexed into the city's boundaries back in 2014, and they had to expand the urban growth boundary to influence to meet their property line, but that was done administratively, it wasn't done by vote. So, you know, just as Measure Q would suggest, you might have a lot more control, and it would be much lengthier process to change boundaries if they were established by an initiative. But it's not required in our code. I don't know if the county, that's a county required.
The more I'm understanding this, the more I
don't understand.
No, I'm lending towards the lines being one and the same.
Financially beneficial to them. And simplistic.
Mhm.
Maybe that way we don't have to.
One positive thing that came out of this morphodite was,
What not to do.
well, I also, and then that.
I know, my back fence
No.
No.
out there.
Right here.
Why?
But we. Actually, that. big old- I'm having a problem with they try to send me the county, but.
Not there.
Cattle ranch.
So, okay, so where are we? I want to get back.
We definitely have our sphere of influence lines that would suggest.
We're debating the suggestion for urban growth boundaries.
We should be in the same.
And Jackie, how do you feel about the?
Well, this, this is a, says an urban growth boundary or UGB is a regional boundary set and to control urban sprawl by in its simplest form, mandating of the area inside the boundary be used for urban development. And the area outside is preserved in the state.
My only question is, do we want to be more restrictive than the highlighted line?
You want to go a little bit around it and go on top of it.
I don't think we want to go bigger. I think we're deciding it, in my mind, it's, we want to be more restrictive than this, but where we don't want to.
But this is what I'm understanding is it's in point to control urban sprawl. So
Yeah, so if you go more restrictive, we've got a smaller, this is a big rope, right?
right.
The rope is smaller. Now you're saying outside of this new color, right? Now outside of this, no housing, but this is still within the city. I'm not sure that is.
Okay,
So
Okay, so this is our sphere of influence.
Mhm.
And if we go beyond, that would be our urban growth boundary.
And that's preserved in that.
And within this ring, these are preserved. We have our building within the city.
I don't,
So
is that how you understand?
that's what I'm asking. That's why.
Traditionally, that's the definition. To make them both the same, it's a little, why have the urban growth boundary often be the same as this? Right, it's typically in a larger than the SOI.
So this, would this be our green belt within here or what?
That's why I would be attempting to work with the county to. Oh, okay, okay.
Okay,
And how much weight does it hold? What you would do in the county? How much weight does that hold? Are we be able to?
We would probably want to get some.
That would be.
okay.
And now to agree on the.
It does state that, it says, the UGB circumscribe the entire urbanized area and is used by local governments as a guide in zoning and land use decision. And by utilities and other infrastructure providers to improve efficiency for the federal and county. So that statement to me tells me that it can't be ignored. And it's
So then that's what we should be doing. That's what we should do.
Find ourselves.
right.
Yeah.
I know. I do feel-
So we don't have to call it an urban growth boundary, we can call it a planning area. Okay.
But we could call it the green belt.
Or we can go the green belt, because that's what I've been wanting it to be.
Because within that area, there is no ordinance, there is no.
I would suggest that we call it
Yes.
the green belt.
Yeah. Mhm.
Rename-
Call it the green belt. Yeah.
Planning. Okay,
Call
so
it a
where we
green belt.
put this one?
So to do that, what's the? What, two things, one, what's the legal ramification, two, what's it gonna cost us? If we do, a green belt outside of our sphere of influence lines. Are we gonna have to do a whole new setting? Like you said, it's getting more and more expensive to do business. And we have to do two sets of.
If they're proposed at the same time, then you have one, and we were hoping this would be an amendment to the existing. Environmental impact report for the general fund. Because actually this is a more, less invasive. In that proposed by the general fund.
And so, going back to what Scott said, what will it cost us? Is there a fee? Is there a 5-year fee?
Just a study itself, just a study itself.
It's that, okay.
I was worried about what it'll cost us in terms of infrastructure.
I was worried we have to do. Two seven.
Yeah, okay.
But
So
they're
it'll only
saying
be one.
Just one.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's what
That's yours.
that's what I envisioned when we started this whole thing, and that's where we're gonna look at them. Yeah,
So previously you had said, what's the point of going all the way out here? And I agreed with you previously. Now knowing that somebody's trying to put 1,000 homes like right here,
well,
I
somebody
got some
is,
reason.
somebody is putting 1,000,
Yeah.
but more like over here.
But now now in my mind, there's a reason if we're talking about this green belt buffer type thing, there's a reason to start circling some of the.
And I get that, but here's, I had a very good friend of mine who's a cattle rancher, so, last thing farmers and ranchers do, the last thing they want to do is fail. And that means you're selling off your land because you couldn't do it on your own. We have some pretty established farmers in our area they've been farming this land for 200 years almost. So some of the families, so it's not like it's not profitable and then they're going to go sell, but I don't know, there's a home, a rock's throw from you going for 1.2 million now. So it's like, yeah, I'm gonna worry about that, but but I also look at the big picture, this is 100-year floodplains and there's all this other stuff. And wider ends, and it's prime ag too, and it's a little different than just.
Yeah.
Your rice fields, this.
Yeah.
This is all prime ag, so it's much more difficult to flip that.
Well, I get that. And I'm saying what I'm in my mind. And I agree with you, like when you told us your plan for why put people with the floodplain and all that. I'm wondering why don't we start all this the same and then shut out and start doing some more of
A
green
belt.
belting around the area.
Around the
Right.
mountains.
Yeah.
and the hills,
Mhm.
sense. And it makes sense because but one thing too, it'd be a whole lot more expensive to develop here than it would be. to develop
Oh,
right
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
here.
So are people okay with me purpling
Yeah,
on this side and then we still debate the other three sides?
We're going parallel on that one and then come out here into the sticks, out in the poison oak. That's all I think of the canyon. Worst case,
Sorry, this
Yeah,
one,
you
same.
need to include that one.
include this one?
Yeah,
So I messed up, come out here.
that's
Sure.
right. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's UGB and the other one inside is fairly important.
So when you guys are interpreting, that's a boo-boo. Same out here.
So. Yeah, how far is that going out? Because to me, it doesn't look like very big.
Thanks, Scott.
So.
Which one?
But what that's what we're talking is that's not only prime and prime ag land, but it's also a floodplain. And
So there's not-
and the, remember the San Andreas fault. Right about here.
So the statement was made that there's, not that you don't want to protect this as much, as you have quote unquote more natural protection on this side. And it's flood or and the fault line, so there's more natural protection on this side, so there's not reason to. So I'm good up to here right now, right? We want to talk here, or here, or here.
Because that's.
What's that?
Bring
it out, yeah, it's the same. It's already in the urban. It's already the protected.
Okay.
Mhm.
So do we include this last little?
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe we should bring it down.
Or do we just do this? Is there a point to having this?
What kind of topography is that? That's on the other.
It's,
That's the Gutenberg line.
yeah, I think that cattle. The white, is that white cattle?
The white cattle.
The Charlet.
Charlets, man.
So do we bring this purple line back out here?
Yeah, it's crazy. So you got them in the back, and then, we can bring these guys in under the.
Oh, the rainbow. Yeah. So. Yeah.
It's pink. It's forest green, but pink.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Kara.
We should let her know that we're up the line, so that she doesn't. Want some goodwill.
I held far long things every day. I wake up. And
Oh, I am. I am.
No,
She and I have some email conversations back and forth, and I'm standing my ground on what I believe, but like. Understand that I thought about this real hard, please.
her heart's in the right place.
It is.
That's the
So
only.
Scott, what's this right here?
Okay, so
This is right in
this
here.
is Dassel's here. So this is Adam Jones on this piece. It's the old, remember the Philbert sisters.
Oh, yeah. Oh, okay,
That's their
okay.
ranch, right?
Okay, so they go down.
Yeah, bring it in,
Bring it over.
Is this Morrison?
They go.
Are they the San Francisco ranchers? You know,
I need your eraser right there, Scott.
right here.
A little purple drip.
This one?
Pink, purple, maybe.
I thought Morrison. There's some, I thought the Morrisons were in the canyon for some reason.
Well, they're not.
Did they buy the the Baumgartner Ranch? This is
Well,
this Baumgartner here.
there's a bump.
Oh, there we go.
So,
I guess,
okay,
yes.
so.
Yeah, that would be nice to see. You know, if we can do that here, because 156 is right here. Well.
Where's 156 going?
Friggin' knows now. Well, I stand up and. What is it?
No.
It's gonna end up like that.
So, we incorporate this, like the old Montecito Ranch and
Yes,
all through here,
yes.
the foothill.
Mhm.
Can we, is that something that's kind of janky going like a big tentacle out there like that?
My biggest question mark. Well, 12 is, I thought this was one giant parcel. I
What's
guess
this?
it's 20, it's just a giant parcel.
Giant parcel with 156 running through a big chunk of it right here. Yeah. They're bringing it over here.
There you go. It's right in touch.
It's gonna make a sharp freaking turn back into here.
Then we can do that.
Why don't we do
Actually,
that?
associates.
Just take the-
It doesn't say anything.
So I'm going
So
across this way.
Yeah.
Leave it.
Yeah. That's what this one- 12.
You guys said here, right?
Yeah, go
I'm thinking here, this is the consent area, because this is all. There's only a handful of houses in here.
yeah, take it in. Oh, yeah.
This property line.
Where's on? Well, that's the, so, St. Francis Retreat is.
Oh, is that what it's called?
It's not called Hayward Road.
I thought it was St. Francis.
It should be linked. Yeah, that's the retreat over here. And then this goes straight, and that's where this is, the Montecito. Here.
Yeah. So go on over.
Coming up this one.
And then
Where am I cutting through? How do I close this out?
No, we're now in Monterey County. so-
Yeah. So my concern, you touched on this, my concern is that people understand the intent here. When they see this giant map, right, it looks giant here, and so they understand that green is our sphere of influence, this is where we're, and the pink is, hey, we are trying to green belt this.
Mhm.
That is the only intention.
It's total preservation of everything in-
I think a lot of people are going to be happy with that too, because there are a lot of people that think,
Yes. I think that those statements need to be made, right, and not just a map, like, those statements need to be made in the map.
We are on the line, and on this aspect of it, we have not put it in barriers that don't call for that.
Mhm.
They're inherent and they're not gonna be built on.
And the same, I feel like Ryan pointed out with the topography.
yeah,
Oh,
I'm just kidding.
You're gonna record it?
Now what's that?
Conservation.
Part of the land use zone.
I'll be here for another 2 years, maybe. We'll end up in eastern Tennessee.
don't go to.
I've had enough of this state.
Knoxville.
You were born there, how can you think you know your
Fish
ancestors?
and the eastern
You're
Tennessee.
like,
The Reals have been in Tennessee since the 1790. I have family. They have a mountain. in there.
oh my gosh. Okay. Go to Phil's Mountain then. Okay, well,
I don't know, I'm a California boy.
I'm gonna die here. I love where I live.
It's the one way to, we moved to Florida for 8 years. And we tried to move back.
I didn't have it.
Well,
Oh,
We had to live in the city as well. I mean, you could live in. You could live in-
When I get home, I'll probably summarize that statement and then reply back to you,
I think those are the before we go.
okay, yes, please.
like Jackie was saying, our key goal is the preservation of our agricultural heritage.
preserve that, plan for how we do what needs to happen.
And that's why the Spaniards stopped here. beautiful farmland, right? And then farther from there, and it was a perfect place to put a mission. It's elevated, that's all, river bottom land.
Never mind that there were already people here, but yeah. That's a different.
Yeah,
It gets to me. It's
Yeah.
my heritage. I can't stop.
yeah, but there were people everywhere.
Sure, but yeah.
You got a parade in your